You're listening to another episode of the Fredericksburg Strong podcast. This is a local forum to inform and entertain our community, discuss local news, promote small businesses, and celebrate our hometown heroes with a little dose of humor to keep you entertained. Our mission is simple: to keep Fredericksburg strong. Today's podcast is powered by Pohanka Nissan and Pohanka Hyundai of Fredericksburg. And now, here's your host, Tim Pohanka.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Pohanka. Welcome to Fredericksburg Strong. We're here on the Fredericksburg Strong Digital Network, and it's been a while since we've had a guest in here to speak with. I'm very excited. We've got Dave, is it Wernley? Wernley. And you are from Busy Platform Builders. And, I had a chance to go online and look at your website. And, all through it, you're talking about your people's platform, their platform. And when you start to look at it, it looks like it's really a community site, but talk about it. What is a platform, or what do you work? Who is your target audience?
So our target audience is writers or creators who are trying to get their message out to the world, and they feel all alone in what they're trying to do. Their family doesn't get them, their friends don't get them, and so they'll say to a family member, "Oh, I'm having trouble building my platform." And the family member will say, "Oh yeah, it was hard building the deck off the back of our house too. Are you using pine or redwood?"
Yeah.
The writer's like, not getting there from here, because a platform is the writer's online presence.
Okay.
And how they're getting their message out to the world. And the beauty of it right now is there's no gatekeepers. You don't have to convince a publisher to put you out there. You can get a website for $12 a year and put yourself out there. And you've got a connection to everyone else in the world. There's nothing stopping you from getting your message out there right now with the internet. But a lot of people don't know how to do it. The technology can be overwhelming, although right now the tech is easier than it's ever been in the history of the world. But it's good to have community. It's good to have help. And when you're trying to do this all yourself, it can be really, really overwhelming. So what we did is we created a community of writers who are all trying to do the same thing. We're all at approximately the same place, and we're trying to help each other and move our platforms forward together.
So when you mention that it's writers, so we're talking book writers from various genres, or is it just anyone in general who's got an idea that they're trying to put out there?
Yeah, pretty much. It could be musicians, it could be writers. I specifically target writers, but these same techniques work for musicians, they work for artists, they work for anyone with a message who's trying to get their message out on the internet and change the world.
So talk to me about technique. What you're trying to promote. Are you've got a website? Are you using a standard website platform? Are you looking at marketing help that you're giving them? How far down this process are you able to help somebody?
Yeah, so we help them get started from ground zero, where they don't have anything, to getting a website up, start building an audience, techniques for marketing, what to say on your website, how to set it up so that when someone comes to your website, they know what to do. Okay. There's a lot of beautiful websites on the internet, and you look at them, it's like, gee, this is beautiful. I should print it out and hang it in my living room, but I've got absolutely no idea what to do.
Okay, which makes sense. Yeah, obviously, interaction and how you engage makes all the difference.
Do you want the person to buy something from you? Do you want them to join your email list? Do you want them to download your free PDF? That needs to be really obvious, and we usually tell people to have a big red button in the upper right-hand corner.
So what's the thing that usually everyone what's the usual hang-up? I mean, they always say some businesses will grow to X, and then other people could take it to Y, and then you need someone else to take it to Z. So what is usually that very first stopping point for most people, writers or anyone putting their platform together?
I think there's three things you need in order to move forward. First, you do need a platform, and writers kind of sometimes have an aversion to this because they don't know what to do, they don't understand the tech necessarily, and they've built it up in their mind in this real complicated thing, and it's really not. It's really pretty easy once you get the first physical platform stood up. And then you need a community. You need other people doing this to kind of help you get over yourself. The main roadblock usually is right here between your ears.
Okay.
Usually people think, oh, no one's going to want to listen to my message, or how do I get people to pay attention to me, or how do I make my message clear and get it out there and differentiate myself from all the other 87 million people who are trying to get their message out there. And then the third thing you need is momentum, just actually doing something. And a lot of times with writers, again, that problem between our own ears is we want to make it perfect. And usually writers and creatives, you're your own worst enemy, which is good. You want to be your own worst critic, but that can stop you from moving forward. So your 90% is better than somebody else's 150%. So I tell people 90% and ship, and that rule has really helped me because I'm a perfectionist also. And perfectionism really is just socially acceptable procrastination.
Oh yeah.
Because if it's not perfect, I can assuage my fear of putting it out there. That, well, I'm not afraid to put it out there. It's just not good enough yet.
Or things will never be perfect when you keep looking at it. Yeah.
Exactly. So if it's never perfect, then I don't have to actually face my fear of putting it out into the world.
And the fear is interesting when you think about it. People have a bigger fear of public speaking than they have of being burned alive.
They do.
How does that make any sense? Hey,
I know, right?
Pour gasoline on me and torch me before I'm willing to speak in front of 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
When you're talking about this, a writer, okay, obviously, when you're a writer, you're creative, you're putting your thoughts on there, and then you're looking at someone else to be a tech guy. Those are that you may think that they're both using the same side of the brain, and clearly they're not. Right. Are you helping them as critics of their work as well as helping them with their website?
Yes.
You are gaining almost like a publishing house of additional help then, is that correct?
Yeah, basically with, we don't do any publishing, but we help them write blogs.
Online publishing.
That's true. You're certainly online publishing. Every time you hit publish, on your blog, it goes up on the internet, you publish something. So we help them write good blog posts. We help them work with images. Usually on a blog post, you want a featured image. People don't know how to work with images, so we help them find free images on the website that are royalty-free, that you don't have to pay an arm and a leg for. We teach them how to write good headlines, because that headline is how you're going to get somebody to read the article or not. If that headline doesn't catch them, they're not going to read the article. And then how to make a good article. A good blog post is different than a book. If you bought a book and you're going to sit down to read the book, you're going to read every page in the book. And you're going to turn the page and you're going to read every page, every word on the page. With blog posts, it's not like that. People don't have time. They don't have a lot of time. They want to read the article, but they only got a couple minutes here at work or wherever they're looking at it, so they scan it. There are some people who will read every word, but most people will just go through and scan it. So we teach people to, in each paragraph, ask yourself, after you've written the blog post, go back in each paragraph and say, if my readers only read one thing in this paragraph, what do I want them to read? And bold that sentence. So you design the blog post for scanners, because there are some people that are going to go through and the only things they're going to read are the headlines, the bullets, and the bolded phrases. So after you're done, you want to go through and just read those things and make sure that your story still hangs together.
It's very interesting when you look at it that way, because a lot of blogs, people are to your point, scanning.
Yeah.
They're looking at information, whether they're on their phone bored at waiting for someone to come out of the grocery store, or they're here. Where have you found that most people get the best response to their blogs?
It depends on the blog.
Okay.
It depends on the blog, and that's one of the things we help people with is getting out there. Finding groups that do the same thing as you are, and join that group that does the same thing you do, and be helpful. Help the other people in the group. Don't join the group and promote yourself, but just be helpful, and you'll get an opportunity to send someone a direct message and say, hey, if you want more on this subject, I wrote an article that might be helpful to you. It's all about serving the audience and helping them.
Yeah, without a doubt. Obviously, you came up with this idea, I'm sensing, because of a need that you had, or you and your wife had. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. We've been in other writers' communities, and there wasn't really anything here local in Fredericksburg, so we started one.
Where did you get your start in writing? What's your forte in writing?
So I write Christian nonfiction
Okay.
books. I write about intimacy with Jesus.
Okay.
And when I first started this writing journey, I was listening to a podcast by Michael Hyatt, who's was the publisher at Thomas Nelson, which is the largest publishing house in the U.S. at that time. And he was interviewing another author, and that other author said that he got to the point where he was more afraid of not trying than he was of failing. And I thought, wow, that really, I was on 95, I was driving up to, my day job in Northern Virginia. I was getting off the exit at 5 in the morning, and the author he was talking to, a guy named Jeff Goins, said, I'm more afraid of not trying than I am of failing. And that really stuck with me, and I thought, what if God's got all the dominoes lined up, for this to work, and I meet Jesus on that day, right, and see all the resources he had lined up for this whole writing gig to work, and it never happened because I never tipped over the first domino.
And it's interesting that you phrase it that way. When you look at faith and you look at where people are, and they always go, well, I think. And this may be offensive to some, but it's not meant to be. It's more meant. When I hear people say, "Well, if God meant it to be, it would have been meant to be," and the other way you look at it is, well, if He set all these things up for you, maybe He's saying that you needed to help yourself a little bit and have a little free will and journey and enter into the journey, and that's kind of what goes on there. And I think it's a really interesting point to make for people, is that you do have to put a little to point that nudge that goes into it. And most people do fail right before they're going to have success. And studies find that all the time.
They really do. Whether you look at it, from a Christian point of view or even just a secular point of view, in Stephen Pressfield wrote The Art of the War of Art, where he talks about the resistance. Anything you get close to doing something great, there's a greater amount of resistance that you encounter. And how does it create a person to push through that? But you're right, and successful people all avoid doing one thing that every non-successful person does, and that's quit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read a lot, I've done a lot with Tony Robbins for my team members or for myself, and that's one of the things that I always took from it, is that most people, their problem is that little bit of pain that it takes to get all of this success, and they'll always focus on that little bit. And I think that's kind of where your community kind of comes into play. You try to break down those excuses.
Yeah.
Here at the dealership, I would joke that no one sells a car because they have any skill, and that's not because they don't, or it's not because they don't do a good job. But if you're one of the people who didn't sell a car that day, you always find that excuse as to why it happened for them and not for you. Oh, they have an office closer to the door. Then they pick they can pick anything out of the air. Right. No one sits there and goes, oh my gosh, that person called that customer 5 times. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that person has studied and knows more about the cars than anybody else. Right. Wow, they actually went and got the car, got it cleaned, brought it down, and let the customer see the car in a pristine, without any dust or pollen on it. They don't look at those things. They look at the other. And in your writing communities or in your artistic communities, do you feel that they need that coaching where they've done this good job of making the creativity, but that whole now it's a business, or in a way you have to get in that business mentality.
You really do, because even if you get traditionally published, the majority of marketing the book and promotion falls on the author today. Didn't used to be that way, but today it's that way. Even in traditional publishing, the majority of the promotion is on the author.
What are some of the effective ways to promote? Is it video? Is it talking about it on Facebook Live or YouTube Live? Where can authors or artists really start to get their work known?
The most effective way to promote is to start promoting before you finish your book. So with a blog. By getting a blog up and getting a website up and start writing and start building an audience. And then you're interacting with your audience and you're learning from your audience what they need, what their problems are, and what problem you can solve for them, so that when you write your book, you don't launch to crickets.
Now, Is traditional publishing as important as it was in the past?
Not really. There's been a lot of successful books that have been self-published.
And there's got to be a business model involved in that. Is that cents per download, or what's the business model then?
Yeah, so it's all about the size of your email list, because that's where the scale comes from. So if you have, a large email list and you put out an ebook once a quarter, and you put out a $3.99 ebook, so $4 ebook, and you've got 10,000 people that buy it every quarter. That's a pretty good chunk of change.
Yeah.
You get. So it's all about scale. It's all about the size of your email list.
So it's really the response. I mean, clearly, I think you're making a good point. It also depends on the what you're talking about.
Right.
If you're writing Tom Clancy, James Patterson books where someone's like, oh, I got to go to the next one. Oh, I got to go to the next one. I got to go to the next one. You've kind of built that. What's the next story? What's the next story? If you're writing about gardening, it's probably a little bit harder.
Right. Well, I think the main business model is build your website, build your platform before you publish. See, I did this wrong. I wrote my book and I published it, and I've still got 15 boxes of books in my basement because I didn't build my website first. So you think, if I publish it, they will come. We call that the field of dreams publishing model.
Somehow I will be the one person to make it
Right.
to the New York Times bestseller list out of everything else that's being written in books of the line.
Yeah, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
So what
I'm
you do
competing
is
with.
You build your audience first through your website, through blogging, and then you have people asking you questions, and you figure out what problem you can solve, and they're used to getting content from you. They're used to getting free content from you on your blog. You're solving problems for them. You're building up a relationship with them. I have people I've never met on my blog that one week I skipped a week. I didn't blog for a week. I skipped it, and I got email from a reader that said, "Are you okay? Are you sick? What happened? Did I miss it? Did I miss the email? What happened?" It's like this guy actually cared that I wasn't that he didn't get my email that week with the blog article in it. So aside from making my day, it just shows that you make a relationship with these people, and they feel like they have a relationship with you. They know you a little bit, and they trust you. And eventually, when you go to sell something, as you know, people buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
So you've got that relationship already built up, and you've already built up some reciprocity because you've been giving them a lot of free online content.
So what's your day job?
So my day job is I'm a software engineer.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with the tech, so I can figure out the tech, which is helpful because if somebody gets stuck, we can figure it out. And there's usually somebody in the group. That's a great thing about a community, is there's usually somebody in it that's already hit that problem and solved it. So rather than banging your head against the wall for 2 weeks trying to solve it, you just ask a question in the group. Hey, does anybody know how to embed an image in WordPress or something? And somebody's done that before and can help you figure it out.
It really is a unique concept. I mean, when you've got collaborations that going on, you've added that community, you've got a group that's able to really impact what's going on. Now, you are collecting new members right now, is that right?
We will be at the end of August.
Okay, so
August.
what's a new member? What can a new member expect?
So there are 3 membership levels. It's a membership site, so it's got private content behind a paywall that only members can get to. And that content will take you through launching a blog to begin with, how to launch your blog, how to work with images, how to make a good blog post, how to write a good headline, how to set up your email service provider, how to send good emails to your list, how to increase your list size, how to get your list started. And I've got templates for this. I've got the exact templates I used to get my list to 100 people when I started. And you could Facebook message people, and I've got the exact text I used. You change the name, you put a little
You
personal
can't put the
message
insert
in.
name here.
Right, yeah, you don't put, dear name, are you interested
Yeah.
in my website, right? So you personalize it a little bit. But having a script, having a template script really helps people because they don't have to come up with the words themselves. So we've got templates for things. We talk about how to use search engine optimization, how to use keywords in your websites, how how to write good headlines, how to publish, and basically how to get off the ground and get rolling. So you get all the private all the private content behind the paywall. In addition to that, there's a private Facebook group.
Okay.
So that's the community level membership. So if you have a problem, you know it's just not working for me, you can ask a question in the private Facebook group, and people will help you. So that's the community membership. That's $30 a month, $29 a month. Then there's a Zoom membership. So in addition to that, we do a monthly Zoom call, a group coaching call on Zoom, for $59 a month.
Okay.
So you can actually get face to face with other people doing it, and we'll solve whatever problem you have there. And then the third level is the mastermind level, which is a small group of mastermind people that, in addition to everything in the first two levels, we meet in person once a quarter.
Okay. Wow.
And we also have a private Slack channel, so we can talk to each other on Slack and solve whatever problems we're running into. And we'll do a one-day meetup, full day meetup once a quarter here locally in Fredericksburg. And
so you only do a new membership drive once a year?
Maybe twice.
So it's very limited. So it's a very unique.
Right.
So we're gonna have your website name has been on the screen while we've been talking. So that's obviously they can reach out to you there. Can they reach out to you on Facebook as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook as Dave Warnley.
Okay. And if you were to leave one important message for people looking to start out, what would that be?
I would say that you're not alone, that there are other people in this area who are doing what you're trying to do, and you don't have to figure this out all by yourself. Community is the fastest way to fast forward your progress. So I would say join a community.
Have your idea. It's good to have it, and probably someone's going to want to listen to it.
Right.
It's just a question of finding out how to get your name out there and your voice out there. Right. Dave, this has been really interesting. I never thought of it that way. I mean, we always think about writing a book, and am I going to write a book? I don't know.
Huh.
And now you seem to have found a way to make it easier. So if anyone's out there really thinks they've got the next great idea or maybe the next great series of things to talk about, you've given them a good reason. I mean, you look at this, I think back when I look at your group and I think of some of the other ones. Chip and Joanna Gaines just had an idea to have a TV show of fixing some stuff up. And now look where they are. Yeah. So it just takes an idea and some people to help you along the way. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This has been Fredericksburg Strong. I'm Tim Pohanka. I've been with Dave Warnley, and we'll see you next time here.
Thanks for listening to the Fredericksburg Strong podcast. Be sure to visit fredericksburgstrong.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic bonus content, as well as submit a request for you or your organization to appear on one of our future episodes. See you next time with another exciting episode of Fredericksburg Strong.